Hey guys, welcome to Southern Gal True Crime. We cover missing persons, cold cases, and more. And today, I have an update in the Idaho 4 case. Actually, it's concerning the 1122 King Drive house where the homicides took place. Evidently, there's some controversy about whether or not it should be demolished and when it should be demolished. The article I found, I think it came out yesterday or today, it said officials, and I think it was maybe officials from the university want it demolished as soon as possible. I'm assuming, just to kind of, out of sight, out of mind, not out of mind, but out of sight, and try to start the healing process. Because it is located very close to the university. Surrounding houses, university students live there in the surrounding houses, and they have to see it every day, and it just kind of tears the scab off the wound. But then on the other side, some of the family members of the victims, it may not be that they necessarily don't want it demolished, but they might think it's a little too soon. They might be thinking that when Koberger goes to trial, that they might take the jury out there just to look at it. I don't know if they'd be allowed to go inside of it. I don't know all the legal stuff about that. But just to get a sense of where it took place, how it could have happened, which is that's not unusual in trials like cases like this, for the jury to be taken to the scene. One that comes to mind recently was the Murdaugh trial, where they took the jury out to the sorry, my nose is itching. They took the jury out to the Murdaugh property to let them look around and just to get a sense of the layout and where things happened. And I think there's been rumor, speculation in the upcoming Delphi Richard Allen trial that they might take the jury out to the Monon High Bridge to let the jurors look around. Like I said, get a sense of the layout and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be bringing you an article about that. And when I was looking at looking on Google, searching for just like crime scene locations, I came across an article about the Sharon Tate house on Cielo Drive. And anybody who follows true crime knows the Sharon Tate case. She and I think three or four others were killed by members of the Manson family, and which I didn't know until I read the article that that house has been demolished. But before it was demolished, I just thought it was an interesting. It changed hands, owners quite a few times before it was demolished, and I just thought it was interesting, so I'll bring you that article. I hope y'all find it interesting, because what kind of got me into interested in true crime is I read Helter Skelter. I was probably 14 or 15 years old, and if you've never read it, which I'm sure most of you have, it's in a true crime. Very good book. So that got me into true crime. Alright, so I'll be bringing you all that today. But first, as always, I always feature a missing person from neverforgottenarkansas.gov, which is the Arkansas Missing Persons Database. Because that's the most important goal of my little channel here in my little corner of YouTube world, is to get the information out about missing persons, cold cases, keep the names out there so they're not forgotten. So that, like I said, that is the goal, main purpose of my channel. So today's featured missing person, excuse me, is Floyd Allen. And Floyd is only 12 years old. He's a black male, 5'4" tall, 110 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He went missing on March 12th of this year, which about 4 months ago, from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Not a lot of information, no identifying features, but here is a picture of Floyd. And I will be giving you, if you have any information regarding Floyd, and his disappearance, I'll give you a phone number you can call. Even if you don't have any information, please share this video, share his picture, share his information. I'll put a link to this in the description box, just to get his name out there. Likes, comments, shares of the videos help in the YouTube algorithm. It reaches more people, and the more people that hear these stories, they, lose my train of thought. The more people that know about it, the hopefully more likely it will be that we can find a resolution and find this young man. Alright, so the phone number to call, you can contact the Pine Bluff Police Department at 870-730-2081. Once again, Floyd Allen, missing from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Alright, and with that very important information taken care of, we will get into the Idaho 4 house and whether or not it should be demolished. Okay, and this comes from the NewYorkTimes.com. Oh, go away. Alright. And it says, let's see, when was this article? I believe this article just came out a couple of days ago, so it's fairly new. Should a notorious crime scene be demolished before trial? And I think that's the whole controversy. Like I said, people are thinking that that they should keep it at least through the trial. Like I said, if they want to take the jury out, to let them get a look at it. In my opinion, that's just my opinion, I think it should be demolished at some point. Maybe not till after the trial and everything's over with, because for one, it is a constant reminder of what happened, the tragedy that happened there, and the students still have to go to school there, still have to live in close proximity to it. So I think it should be demolished. And a lot of times, which I think is a very beautiful, wonderful thing that's done, is they demolish it, and then in the place of it, they put like a park or a memorial garden, some kind of, memorial for the victims. So hopefully at some point that will happen. Alright, back to the article. Officials want to tear down the house where 4 Idaho college students were killed last year, setting off a debate over preserving the scenes of mass violence. And there, we all know what the house looks like. At the house where 4 University of Idaho students were killed last year, sheets of plywood cover the windows, a temporary fence surrounds the yard, security guards posted in a blue trailer keep watch 24 hours a day. And that goes back to what I was saying about the extreme true crime obsessed. It's just like a magnet for those sorts of people. So there would be a constant stream of people coming by, maybe even trying to enter the house, if there's anything even left in the house, take souvenirs, things of that nature. So I think it would be a good idea to have it demolished at some point. And yet, for a university trying to erase the remnants of a tragedy that cast a terrifying shadow over the past academic year, the house on a hillside near campus remains uncomfortably conspicuous, visible from nearby fraternity houses, and sought out as a photo spot by true crime aficionados from around the country. That's my point. University officials hope to demolish it before a new class of students arrive in August. Excuse me. But the plan has distressed some family members of the 4 students killed, who worry that the house could be vital to the prosecution of the accused killer and to a jury's understanding of how the 4 students could have been killed in bedrooms on the second and third floors without alerting 2 other roommates in the house. And that's always been a controversy or a point of contention, is how, because there were 6 people in the house that night, 4 were killed, 2 on the second floor, 2 on the third floor. The other 2 roommates were on the bottom floor and apparently didn't hear anything, didn't see anything until the next day. So the university have pressed the family have pressed the university to hold off on any demolition. What's best for the case is for us to take caution and protect what the jury may possibly want to wrap their heads around, Steve Gonsalves, the father of one of the victims, Kaylee Gonsalves, said of the university's announcement. I'll get past the ads. The parents of Ethan Chapin, another one of the victims, said the situation was difficult with no easy answers. On one hand, they agree with Mr. Gonsalves that demolishing the home this summer feels very early, said Mr. Chapin's mother, Stacy. But she noted that their 2 other children, because Ethan was one in a set of triplets, are still students at the University of Idaho, and one of them has a room that looks out toward the house, providing a constant reminder. I cannot imagine just how awful and heartbreaking that would be to have to, for his brother, or it could be sister. There was 2 boys, 2 brothers and 1 sister in the triplets, of having to see that every day and as a constant reminder of what happened to your sibling. Hold on one second. Let me get a drink. All right. Goes on to say, our kids have to walk past that house every day, Miss Chapin said. The kids, they need to heal. The university needs to heal, and the community needs to heal. And there's a picture of family members. The house in Idaho joins a growing roster of notorious properties around the country whose fates have become the subject of complex legal and ethical debates, as communities try to decide what, if anything, should remain in the aftermath of a mass incident. In Newtown, Connecticut, the Sandy Hook Elementary School building was razed and rebuilt after the 2012 mass killing that left 26 people dead. In Uvalde, Texas, where a gunman killed 19 and 2 teachers last year, the school district has similar plans to demolish the school and build a new one. Other communities have left such crime scenes intact. The large hunting estate in South Carolina, where Alec Murdaugh's wife and younger son were killed in 2021, was sold for $3.9 million just weeks after Mr. Murdaugh, a prominent lawyer, was convicted of killing them. And I think I was watching another YouTube channel, and I think talking about selling houses and crime scene houses, that Richard Allen's house had been put up for sale, and supposedly it has already sold. It's sold within like a matter of days or weeks. That just blows my mind. Anyway, students in Santa Fe, Texas returned within weeks to the high school where a gunman killed 10 people in 2018. And while some residents called for demolishing the movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, that was the site of a mass incident in 2012, it was instead renamed, remodeled, and reopened within 6 months. The case in Idaho is not the only one where some have advocated leaving the crime scene standing for jurors. The classroom building in Parkland, Florida, where a offender killed 17 students and staff members 5 years ago, is still standing, fenced off from where students attend classes in adjacent buildings. Jurors visited the abandoned building last year during the sentencing trial for the gunman, making their way past shards of glass, walls riddled with holes, and floors still smeared with bodily fluids. I have to be careful what verbiage words I use here, or YouTube will flag it. Alright. After the acquittal last week of a school resource officer who failed to confront the gunman, the last criminal case stemming from the shootings, school officials said they now plan to proceed with demolition. But first, the authorities begin allowing victims' relatives to walk the building's hallways this week for the first time since the incident happened, if they wanted to. And I don't know if I would be able to do that, to go to the scene. It'd be very hard. Jurors visited the Murdaugh crime scene in Arlington, South Carolina during Mr. Murdaugh's trial this year. They spent about an hour walking around the area where the victims were shot, including a shed and feed room. Similarly, when the novelist Michael Peterson was on trial in 2003, accused of killing his wife, jurors were given a chance to examine the stairwell where she died in their home. The house remains standing, though it has though it has been sold several times since Mr. Peterson's trial, including at one point to a man who describes himself as a clairvoyant medium. I'm not going to get started on clairvoyant mediums. Alright. Lost my place. Oh, my goodness. One minute. Let me find it. Okay. There we go. The killings in Idaho on November 13th left 4 students dead. Miss Gonsalves, 21, Madison Mogan, 21, Xana Kernodle, 20, and Ethan Chapin, 20. Their bodies were not discovered for hours, and the suspect was not identified for weeks. Investigators ultimately arrested Brian Koberger in late December, a PhD criminology student at nearby Washington State University. Jody Walker, a university spokeswoman, said that the house in the middle of a student housing area has been a constant reminder of what transpired there. She said officials were also considering the needs of all the students and staff members on campus when they made the decision to demolish the structure. This is another step toward healing, she said. It is definitely a balancing act. Mr. Koberger's defense lawyer, Ann Taylor, told campus officials in April that she had no objection to the plan, according to an email. The county prosecutor, Bill Thompson, told the university that he also did not object because the authorities did not think it would be needed for trial. The scene has been substantially altered from its condition at the time of the killings, including removal of relevant property and furnishings, removal of some structural items such as wallboard, and flooring, and subjected to extensive chemical application, creating a potential health hazard, Mr. Thompson wrote in a separate email. These are some of the reasons that we have concluded that a jury view would not be appropriate. Last week, trucks pulled up to the house to begin removing the former residents' belongings, a process that could take several weeks, and demolition was set to begin soon after. Sorry, I got just my camera here. Alright, but some family members of victims say that with the trial not scheduled until October, it is too soon to destroy the site of the killings. Shannon Gray, a lawyer representing the Gonsalves family, said jurors may need to see the house to understand how noise traveled in the building and how a killer could move through the home's unusual 6-bedroom layout. And there's pictures of the victims, Santa and Ethan and Maddie and Kaylee. Never forget them. They are the most important part of the story, along with their family and loved ones. He argued that the university was rushing to demolish it because it wanted to leave the tragedy behind before fully dealing with it. And I can kind of understand that, but then again, like I said, it's there. It's a constant reminder. It's, you know, opening the wound again every time you look at it. So it's just, it's a hard situation. It really is. It's for the University of Idaho, trying to tell everybody to hurry up and forget this ever happened, he said. And in my opinion, I kind of disagree with that. I don't think the university hopefully, doesn't want to forget that it happened. You can't forget it happened. But, like I said, they just want to start healing. Everybody needs to start healing. Oh, hold on. I forgot to plug my charger in. There we go. Oh, goodness. It wouldn't be one of my videos unless I was experiencing technical difficulties. Oh, goodness. Got it. Good? Okay. I think we're good now. Alright. Moving on. Alright. Members of Miss Mogan's family and Miss Kernodle's family also want to see the home preserved until the criminal case is resolved. The landlord of the house where the killings occurred donated the house to the university, leaving its fate in the hands of the school administration. Sorry, I'm still trying to get my camera readjusted here. Okay. Public ownership can make it easier to demolish homes with bad histories, but homes in private ownership often wind up with the same fate. The house in Illinois, where many of John Wayne Gacy's victims were found, was razed and a new one was built. In Wisconsin, the apartment building where Jeffrey Dahmer committed a series of gruesome killings was also torn down, and the lot remains empty today. University of Idaho officials have not put forward a plan for how the property in Moscow is to be used after the house is razed. Like I said, my opinion is tear it down, build a memorial garden, a park, you know, a memorial to the victims. Neighbors have been largely silent on the fate of the house, which lies on a dead-end street south of campus, close to several other residences. Vanessa Lopez, 25, lives near the home and sees it every day. She said the property had become a sort of tourist attraction. Once again, that's one of my biggest concerns is the looky-loos and the true crime obsessed who are just going to be parading through there constantly. She said the property had become a sort of tourist attraction, which she found disrespectful and a constant reminder of the horrors that happened in what had always been a quiet little town. Miss Lopez said the wishes of the victim's family should come first, but she would welcome seeing the house gone. With that still being there, it just brings up the memories, she said. For Mr. Gonsalves, the house holds a deeply personal meaning, both as a place where his daughter had many of her life's best moments, and as a symbol of how he believes the community failed to keep her and her friends safe. But the more immediate issue now, he said, is preserving it to ensure there is accountability for the killings. Tearing the house down, he said, will not make the nightmare that happened there go away. It's just going to be a freaking hole in the ground, he said. Is that somehow better? Which, he has a point. I agree. Alright, so that is the article. So, what are... Get a picture. I would love to hear you guys' opinions, whether or not you think, should it be torn down? If so, when? Should they keep it until after the trial? And if they do tear it down, do you think a memorial garden park should be placed there? So please leave a comment. Like I said, I would love to hear everybody's opinion on this. Just always please be respectful of victims and the victims' families, and the students and everybody involved. Alright. So now I want to read to you this article about the Sharon Tate house, which I found very interesting. Go away. Okay. Try to get rid of some of these ads here. So, Sharon Tate murder site is demolished. It is at 10050 Cielo Drive, was the street address of a former luxury home in Benedict Canyon in the west central part of the Beverly Crest neighborhood of Los Angeles, bordering Beverly Hills, where 3 members of the Manson family committed the Tate killings in 1969. Let's see if I can... I don't know if I can make that picture bigger. And that's right there is where the house used to be. Like I said, it has been demolished. I'm not going to read through all this. I'm just going to find the owners after the killings took place. The property had a main residence and a guest house. The main house had been occupied by various famous Hollywood and music industry figures. In 1994, both houses were demolished, and a new house was constructed on the site, and the street address was changed to 10066 Cielo Drive. I'm not going to go through the construction. Let's see. So, Rudolph Altobelli, a music and film industry talent manager, bought the house for $86,000 in the early 1960s and often rented it out. Residents included Cary Grant and Diane Cannon. It was their honeymoon nest in 1965. Henry Fonda, George Chakiris, Mark Lindsay, Samantha Eggar, and Olivia Hussey. Charles Manson did visit the house in late 1968 when it was occupied by couple Terry Melcher, the son of actress Doris Day, and Candice Bergen, with roommate talent manager Roger Hart. And the couple split early 1969 with Melcher relocating to Malibu. And if I remember correctly, I had read that Manson, of course, was friends with the Beach Boy Dennis Wilson. It was one of the Beach Boys. I can't remember right now. Spent a lot of time in the house there when Terry Melcher was there. So there was always speculation that when Manson sent some of his followers there to commit the crimes, that he might have thought that Melcher and Dennis Wilson, or whichever Beach Boy it was, still lived there, because apparently Manson was an aspiring singer, and he thought that Dennis Wilson was going to help him get some kind of record deal. Of course, that never happened, and so he kind of took offense to that. Anyway, you can Google it and get all the details. I'm just kind of going off of what I've read in Helter Skelter and everything I've read about the Manson family and the Tate killings. All right, moving on. In February 1969, Roman Polanski and his wife Sharon Tate began renting the home from Altobelli. In August 1969, the home became the scene of the killings of Tate, Wojciech Frykowski, Abigail Folger, J.C. Bring, and Stephen Parent, which was committed by Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, and Patricia Krenwinkel. William Garretson, Altobelli's caretaker and an acquaintance of Parent, lived in the guest house behind the main house, and originally said he was unaware of the killings until the next morning when he was taken into custody by police officers, and he was later cleared of all charges. Altobelli moved into the house just 3 weeks after the killings and resided there until 1988. During an interview on ABC's 2020, he said that while living there, he felt safe, secure, loved, and beauty. The house was then sold to John Prell, who was a real estate investor. The purchase price was $1.6 million in 1989, which was equivalent to $3.5 million in 21. In 92, the property was sold to Alvin Weintraub, another real estate investor. And this was what I found most interesting, because I'm a Nine Inch Nails fan. The final resident of the original house was Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. Reznor rented the house from 1992, set up a recording studio, and this studio, dubbed Pig, sometimes called Le Pig, in reference to Susan Atkins writing pig in the blood on in the house, was the site of recording sessions for most of the Nine Inch Nails album The Downward Spiral, which came out in 1994. The band also recorded the EP Broken and filmed the video for Gave Up at Cielo Drive. And Marilyn Manson recorded sections of the album Portrait of an American Family at the in-house studio in 1992. Reznor moved out in December 1993, later explaining that there was too much history in that house for me to handle, which I thought was interesting, considering the kind of music that Nine Inch Nails, their genre of music. But I find it interesting, a little off subject, that because I listen to anything from, George Strait to Metallica, AC/DC, I prefer rock music, metal music, but a lot of metal music, is loud and fast and sometimes has dark, lyrics and subject matter, but the musicians themselves are just, nicest people in the world. And I'm not saying that people who sing about, sing metal music aren't nice people, because I have met a lot of them, and very, very nice people. And the same with Rob Zombie comes to mind. Not only is he the musician, he's a director, writer-director, does horror movies, and in a lot of interviews, he says that him and his wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, say that when they're having to film these more gruesome scenes in their movies, that it affects them for days. They don't like filming, that stuff. So I always found that dichotomy interesting, that, here you got Rob Zombie, and into horror and the music, and it disturbs him to have to shoot these some of these scenes in his movies. But anyway, I digress. We will get back to the matter at hand. All right. Reznor took the front door of the house with him when he moved out. Interesting. Installing it at Nothing Studios, his new recording studio label headquarters in New Orleans. Nothing Studios was later sold, and the facade... Excuse me. I'm losing my voice. Nothing Studios was later sold, and the facade of the building changed. The front door Reznor removed from the Cielo Drive is currently preserved in the possession of Christopher Moore, a New Orleans artist who acquired it from the owner of the building. After renting out the house, Alvin Weintraub had it demolished in 1994, and construction on a new home began later that same year. In 1996, the newly constructed home was completed. He named it Villa Bella and obtained a new address for the property. The home does not resemble the residence in which the Tate incidents occurred. We went to great pains to get rid of everything. There's no house, no dirt, no blade of glass remotely connected to Sharon Tate. The owner of the property as of December 2013 was Hollywood producer Jeff Franklin. In 2010, he had made this comment, what I fell in love with here was the setting, the view, the privacy, and the amount of flat land. Then it goes on to see if there's anything else interesting. So anyway, I thought that was very interesting, about how often it changed hands after the murders, and some of the people who purchased it. All right, I think that is all I have. All right. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, I found that very interesting about the Tate house. So we will see what happens with the King Road house and the Idaho 4 case. Once again, let me know your comments on what you think should be done. Please like, share this video, comment. The more likes, shares, and comments it gets, the more it gets out into YouTube. And then the more that our missing persons get out to reach more people. If you like what we do here at Southern Gal True Crime, please do subscribe. Hit the notification button so you will get notified of when we upload new videos. I try to upload at least 2 or 3 times a week, usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I do have a crazy hectic work schedule, so sometimes it's just whenever I have time to get it recorded and uploaded. Anyway, enough of my babbling. Until next time, please take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Be nice to everyone.